Hello friends, welcome to Kumar IAS, and we hope that your preparation is going on full swing. We were studying political science series and we completed till political theory, and then we started the topic of rights. We were studying the meaning of rights, the different theories of right. We completed the traditional theory and we also saw the criticism of the traditional theory, that how the traditionalists interpret the rights and what are the limitations of the theory of natural rights in traditional sense. So then today we are going to study Lasky's functional theory of rights. I already mentioned you that Lasky's theory comes under the second and the milder perspective of right, which are, it is said that there is one is strong perspective and one is soft or milder. So Lasky comes under the soft perspective, and then we saw the two traditions of contractual and teleological tradition. Lasky comes under the teleological tradition of rights, that there is some purpose behind providing the rights, means to an end, and rights are not independent, they are also related to duties. And in that sense, Lasky's theory is called the functional theory, that what is the function of providing rights. So without much delay, let us start. आज की कथा को शुरू करते हैं. So Lasky gives functional theory of right, which is also called the social welfare theory, and that's why it is teleological, because there is goal for providing something. Rights are not independent. Lasky does not give the strong perspective like rights are the claims, or rights are as we saw in the strong perspective, that rights are entitlement, power, claim, trump, independent of duties. So these, Lasky does not say this kind of thing. Lasky gives social welfare theory. The purpose of right is social welfare, and there are certain functions. There are certain functions for achieving them the rights are delegated, and rights are not to be enjoyed without social recognition and protection of state. So he does not give the strong perspective that rights are claims and rights are sort of birthright. No, he says that rights need social recognition, the societal recognition. In society you come together, like Hannah Arendt says. Hannah Arendt says that power can be exercised in the state of plurality. In the state of plurality. The same thing, similar thing, Lasky also says that rights cannot be enjoyed without societal recognition. Society need to recognize it, and then protection of state is must. And rights comes with the corresponding obligations. Right does not come without any obligation. Rights are not free lunches. Rights are not free lunches. And in Indian context, we can always say that Supreme Court says that Supreme Court in a sense is ever expanding the scope of rights, and Supreme Court is turning entitlements into claims. For example, right to education, privacy in Puttaswamy case, and then Maneka Gandhi case, the due process of law. So the scope of right is ever expanding, we can say. The frontier of rights are always expanding. Always expanding frontiers. But nevertheless, in the Indian context, we can also say that reasonable restrictions by the states make right some sort of not the absolute claims. They just make it that the obligation upon the state is there to provide the rights, but at the same time there is also fundamental duties. So Indian constitution, we can say that the best example of Lasky's theory of rights or the social welfare theory or the functional theory. So Indian constitution's example of rights plus duties. Fundamental rights are there, but at the same time fundamental duties are also there, and that's why rights are not independent of duties in a sense. And Mahatma Gandhi also take the similar views. Lasky says that rights are the essential condition of societal life, of social life, without which no one can seek in general what is at his best. This line you can definitely use not only in political science but general studies, essay, optional, and it is said that they are the essential condition of social life without which no one can seek in general what is at his best. Matlab, a person, if you want to develop a person completely, personality, if a person wants to develop its personality completely, so then the provided social condition, if you want to reach the peak, the zenith, then the societal conditions provided, rights are the essential condition of social life, without which no one can seek in general what is at his best. So these, you can say, the circumference, and so these are the laws which binds a person. So rights are the range to which a person can exercise his or her freedom. So now these rights are the capabilities or opportunities for developing one's personality to the fullest, so that he or she can get optimum out of himself or herself. For example, the best example is fundamental rights of India. So right to equality, and right to freedom. All these rights, what they provide: freedom to association, freedom to trade, association, assembly, and and profession. So if you do not provide these rights, then anybody may not be able to do any profession. But the state in India guarantees you can make association, you can trade, you can choose whatever profession you want. So now if you provide these rights, then the person can develop his himself or herself without any foundation. And that's why Indian constitution is the best example of Lasky's theory of functional right, that rights are the essential condition of social life without which no one can seek in general what is at his best. The most important function of the state is protection of rights. Lasky says that every state is known by the rights it maintains. So the function of the state is the protection of rights, and rights come with duties. Lasky, in his book A Grammar of Politics, he says that social economic rights with civil and political rights are must. Functional theory, basically he gives functional theory, and like he just take holistic view that social and economical rights with civil and political rights are advocated by him. Only civil and political rights are not enough for a man to be at his best, and the functional theory has strong correlation between rights and duties. So Indian constitution is the best example, I already explained you. So the functional theory means they are correlated to each other. There is correlation. In functional sense, there is correlation between rights and duties. Now we can also see the one more theory, which is given by Hofeld, and he gives analytical theory of rights, that rights are based on the four molecular ideas, and rights can be found in the form of compound, not some isolated unit, not isolated form, but in compound form. Like he mentions liberty, claim, power and privilege. It basically divides into 4 categories: liberty, claim, power and privilege. What is liberty? Liberty means rights where there is no other obligation. Claim means there is definitely corresponding obligation to others. So liberty is no obligation, claim is corresponding obligation. Power means the institutions like power to change the rights and obligation of others. So power means to change. Power, just remember, by if you have power you can change, that's it. If you have power you can change the things, right? So like 4 molecular ideas. First one is liberty, no obligation. Then claim, there is corresponding obligation. Then power means the power to change the rights and obligation of others. And then finally privilege. Privilege means free from corresponding duty. For example, MP's privilege to speak in Indian Parliament. So there is no duty. And like these are just mentioned, you can mention here and there. Nobody will ask the direct question on like mention Hofeld's analytical theory. Nobody will ask this sort of question to you. It is just for mentioning, for getting some brownie point. You can just mention, if question is on right, if some context permits, you can just mention that like Hofeld gives analytical theory and he gives 4 molecular ideas of liberty, claim, power and privilege, and rights are found in the form of compound. That much is sufficient. Only 3 things are sufficient, that Hofeld gives analytical theory of rights, and then under analytical theory he gives 4 molecular ideas of liberty, claim, power and privilege, and he says that rights are found in the form of compound, not isolated, and that is sufficient. I mean, no need to cram much. Then Reg gives theory of interest theory. It's just mentioned for the sake of mentioning, nothing else. Just remember that interest theory given by Reg. So he mentions that under interest theory, that rights are recognition that a person has certain interest. If a person has no interest, he does not need any right. So rights basically means the recognition that a person has certain interest. That's why rights. Okay. So this completes our portion till the theories of right, as in syllabus, meaning, theories and different kind of rights. We studied this much. Now we'll see the concept of human rights. Let's see. So human rights are like, it can be said, moral prophecies, appeal to justice and on ethical ground. So human rights are like they are on ethical and moral ground. Appeal to justice, ethical ground, on ethical ground, appeal to justice and moral prophecies. They are the most energizing ideas. It is said that human rights are the most energizing ideas. No need to mention why. There is so much debate always going on human rights. In recent, you can mention Xinjiang province and Uyghur Muslims case in China. And human rights are basically post World War II phenomena. Like it came in the political discourse, in the discourse of political science after World War II. Why? In the context of Nazism and fascism. When the state turns autocrat and it completely takes away the rights of the people, and it just treats them like worse than animals, and it literally take the fundamental even right to life. So in that context, human rights debate is developed in the discipline of political science. It is also said that there is inflation in human rights because there is so much talk going on at the present time, and the purpose of human rights is human dignity, as called by Immanuel Kant. So now let us see the theoretical basis of human rights. What is the theoretical basis of human rights? Because in political science, nothing comes out of the blue. Nothing comes out of the blue. Nothing comes out of the sky. Everything has theoretical basis. Political science is, as we saw in the political theory, it is the systematic study. It is not vague study or fantasies. This is the systematic study. So systematic study means there should be theoretical basis. So human rights has origin in two theories, theory of natural right and Kantian theory. So theory of natural rights is of John Locke, and it is said that there are few rights provided by God or nature, and which has base, foundation or basis in human reason. Which is based in human reason. So that is provided by John Locke, which is also the which gives the theoretical support and theoretical input to the American Constitution. Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights of American Constitution. The Bill of Rights. So the theoretical inputs and theoretical impetus. The second theory is Kantian theory of rights, that Immanuel Kant, which says that the human rights, their root lies in human dignity. Because there should be human dignity, the state should ensure the basic human rights. So their means are different, their end is same in a sense. Different means are there, and the natural, this Kantian theory, Immanuel Kant, he considers the theory of natural rights as too abstract and ahistorical. That he says that there is no historical basis for it. It is too abstract. That source is nature and God. So human dignity is the real root, and it is the real context in which the human right should be awarded. So anyways, no need to go much deeper into that. The theoretical basis lies in the natural rights theory and the Kantian theory. Natural rights theory represented by John Locke, Kantian theory by Immanuel Kant, and it lies in human dignity, and its roots lies in God or nature or human reason. At present times, Jacques Danieli, he is the scholar representing the theory of natural rights in field of human rights, and Alan Jeworth and Jack Donnelly. Alan Jeworth is represented the Kantian school of human rights. Alan Jeworth, Kantian school of human rights, and Jack Donnelly, the natural rights theory. So let's move. The concept of human rights can be seen in the International Bill of Rights. International Bill of Rights is represented by three bills: the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, which all these three were passed under the aegis of United Nations. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR 1948. Then International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, 1966. International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, 1966. Then International Covenant on Social, Economic and Cultural Rights. International Covenant on Social, Economic and Cultural Rights, 1966, 1966 and 1948. And all these three combinedly called the International Bill of Rights. International Bill of Rights. Three bills come under it: Universal Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and International Covenant on Social, Economic and Cultural Rights. The feature of human rights. The features of human rights is, the first one, equality, which I think very much clear, no need to explain why. Human rights are based on the concept of natural rights, so there must be equality, there cannot be any discrimination. Then comes the universality. They cannot be bound by the time and space. They should be universal across all the geographies. Then they should be inalienable. Human rights cannot be at the mercy of the state. So inalienability is the most essential feature of human right. Nobody can take them away. They are to you because you are humans. Human rights belongs to you because you are humans. That's why they are inalienable. They are equal, like equality, universality, inalienability, then permanency. They should be permanent. They should be permanent. So permanency is the feature of human rights. Then individuality. Human rights are given to all the individuals. They are not group rights, like they are not provided to groups. They are ensured to each and every individual. So just remember the features: equality, universality, inalienability, permanency, and individuality. Equality, universality, inalienability, permanency, and individuality. Equality, universality, inalienability, permanency, and individuality. So these all are like features of human rights. Then human rights are basically moral and legal assurance to one and all. That's why they are individuality, equality, universality, individuality, inalienability, and permanency. So now comes the concept of the different generations of right. Once it was asked that what are the different generations, so the different generations of right, and then the criticism and absence of consensus in the concept of rights, then the concept of multiculturalism, and then Bhikkhu Parekh's view or criticism of multiculturalism, and contemporary theories of rights. We will see it in our upcoming lectures. Rest of the parts of the rights we will study in the upcoming lectures. We hope that you are liking our videos and they are definitely adding value to your civil services preparation, my dear friends. And if you find them useful, please like the videos, please subscribe the channel, and please spread the word like a wildfire, because everybody cannot afford a costly coaching in Delhi. So those who are in need must be provided quality material without any cost. So we thank you very much for coming to S. Kumar IAS. Till our next class, stay connected and work hard. And by the way, if you have any doubt, please do ask in the comment box. We shall personally answer them. It will be more fruitful if you have discussion with us, ask your questions, and interaction leads to greater coherence. So thank you so much again, and see you in next videos.